Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Built for the Stage podcast. This is Joe Roscoe, founder and host of Built for the Stage, Broadway's #1 fitness platform with clients in over 20 Broadway shows, the West End, collegiate stages across the country, Tokyo, Disney, Australia. We are your one-stop shop for all things theater and fitness. Check us out at builtforthestage.com. You can do a 2-week free trial with me on an interactive fitness app, builtforthestage.com. All right. I'm always anxious to talk to our guests, but you got to do the intro. So the intro is done. Thanks to Broadway Podcast Network for producing this. Let's get on to the show. Okay. A good one here. Got a good one. Excited to chat with our guests. They're currently a swing in the Tony Award winning musical, The Outsiders. Please welcome to Built for the Stage podcast, Jordan Chin. Jordan, hello,
Hey
hello.
Joe.
You're the star of the show. Let's make you the bigger screen. Hi,
Hey,
nice to virtually see you.
likewise. Pleasure to meet you.
Okay, so we were chatting a bit. You got to see a recording of a production at a movie theater of some sort yesterday. Tell us a little bit about that because I'm still intrigued to hear more.
Yeah, so it was Prima Facie. It was on Broadway, I think a year or two ago. Jodie Comer, she won the Tony Award for Best Actress in a Play. And it was also in the West End. So it was at IFC Center. They were streaming it. It was recording at the National Theatre in the UK. And it was absolutely riveting. Like, it's a one-woman show about a lawyer like rising through the ranks. And obviously chaos ensues and how she deals with it. And it was just like, I was blown away by her performance. It was so brilliant. And I was just like, how is she able to tap into such a like deep emotional well and the endurance to like there's no intermission, like it just keeps
Mm,
going, and a 90-minute show. So yeah, it was really inspiring.
awesome. Okay, well, I something you just said I want to hop into later, but we don't want to get too
Okay.
serious too fast. Um, okay, so it was your day off yesterday. That's when you went to see that I guess movie or screening or production. What else do you typically do on a day off? Is it kind of it depends or yeah, what's your Mondays look
Yeah,
like?
it depends. I mean, I started the day off FaceTiming a friend in Korea, like since the time difference that was earlier in the morning, like a catch-up call, you know? But
Uh-huh.
for me, it's usually like it's my only day off, right? So obviously I need to do a lot of errands, chores, cleaning, a lot of like logistics.
Yeah.
But I like to go really slow on my day offs and just like go with the flow, do what I need. I think like just get in touch with here and being like, okay, what do I really need for this day off? How am I going to rejuvenate? How am I going to relax so I can get ready for this, possible 8 show week? So yeah, basically it's a lot of like administrative stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, when you only have one day off a week, there's much to catch up on. So we don't we don't want to get into that. That's a whole other topic.
Right,
We have to
right.
we have to start making our signs and picketing and
Yes,
getting ready. But
please.
so it's your Broadway debut. Congratulations. Let's back up though. I saw that you went to, I believe, University of Florida, right? UF,
Yeah,
I saw.
yeah. So yeah, I
Okay, so
graduated from UF.
you're a Gator.
I yeah.
Yeah. Okay, wait. So are you from Florida or where are you originally from?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Florida, St. John's, Florida. It's like northeast, really close to
Mm,
like St. Augustine, Jacksonville.
yeah.
Yeah, born and raised there. And so I initially went to UCF, and I was studying like health sciences. I started dancing in college. But I transferred to
Really?
UF.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And we can get into
Okay.
that later if you would like.
Yeah, yeah,
But
I love that.
I transferred to UF online once I moved to New York, and I was going to the Ailey School and learning, refining my technique there. And so yeah, I finished with a sociology degree.
Wow. I love these stories.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that you're in the business,
Mhm.
what is your strength? Is it your acting, singing? Like what is your go-to? Like I'm
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, I think with musical theater, I feel like you do have to have equally strong singing, dancing, acting. But
yeah, of course.
I'm a dancer first, so that's like where most of my experience comes from. Um, And then I started
But
singing.
you just started dancing in college,
Yeah, exactly.
which couldn't have been that long ago.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, it's been like,
You're a natural, apparently.
I guess so. Yeah. No, it's been
No,
a journey for sure. It's
I'm
been,
just sorry to keep like talking. I'm uh really just genuinely impressed. Like you don't just I don't know dance on a Broadway stage after just starting dancing at I don't know 18 or 19 years old. You know,
yeah,
but
yeah. No, it's definitely
but
an anomaly.
Jordan Chin does. Jordan does.
I'm the outsider of the outside. No.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, what like once you started dancing in college, what was it that I guess made it natural, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe you just
Mm.
busted your ass for 4 years there, and obviously you did anyways. But like, was it natural? What was that like when you first started?
I guess, yeah, I had like a natural affinity for it, for movement. Because I did a lot of sports growing up, like so my facility was like trained in a way. So I did
Yeah.
like soccer, karate for like years, like almost a decade, and then I did like other things like flag football. I did gymnastics for like 4 years, diving for my high school team, all-star cheerleading, so that helped with like performance quality. But I think all of those activities helped me. It really like formed my discipline and like willpower, kind of, to like
Yeah.
go the extra length. And also, I don't know, my parents are from Jamaica. When we were just in the house, like cleaning, a chores like Sunday on a regular day, we would be just like moving and grooving. It's just like what we do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it felt like yeah, I was definitely it was easy to grasp, but I had to put in so much work to like refine the technique and to really, you know, be a Broadway dancer. I mean, it doesn't just happen overnight. So it took a while.
Okay. So
10,000 hours.
right. So for any of our listeners that are younger and have this like daunting fear of starting dance or knowing that that's a part of the gig and you have to do it, going back to when you first started the classes in college, what was like the breaking point where you kind of overcame your fear or self-doubt, or imposter syndrome of like, no, I
Hmm.
can do this. Like what kind of advice would you give to people that might be going into training and dance for the first time, with that experience similar to yourself?
I would say just have fun, like lead with like why you want to do this is because it's enjoyable. Like you're if it makes your heart sing, it's easier to put in the work to just get better. Because I wasn't thinking about Broadway when I first started dancing. It was just like I started with an amateur hip hop team at my college, like through the Filipino Student Association. It was called Fresh Off the Beat instead of Off the Boat. And
Uh-huh.
so that taught me how to learn choreography, different styles of like, oh, whacking, like very like elementary, like this is how you lock, this is how you milk a thing, like that. And it was a community based thing, like you're just having fun and we're just
Yeah.
hanging out. We competed against other colleges, and then I took it further because I found a dance studio in Orlando that needed men for their company, like they needed an apprentice, so I was able to get free dance classes. So then I started taking like codified techniques like Horton, Graham, jazz ballet, and that just like made me accelerate. So I would just say, yeah, find the joy of it. And starting early obviously helps because your body is more malleable the younger you are. But yeah, I think if I had thought like I could make like I think I would have probably sabotaged myself or put too much pressure on myself if I was like, this is gonna get me to Broadway. Like I hadn't even thought of that far. I was like
Yeah.
looking
Yeah.
up Craigslist gigs, like music video. I was like, oh wait, I can kind of move, and maybe this could be like a side hustle. But I was so focused on like my health science like major, like I was ready to be a physician assistant, like that's what I was going to school for. Like, and I was like, this is just like a little fun on the side until it became serious.
Okay, so when was the first like musical theater gig? When did that
That wasn't until 2018.
got
Like,
it?
yeah, years later. I had been dancing probably for, let's see, like five, no, like 6, 5 to 6 years. And I started vocal lessons. So when I was young, like when I was 8, my parents put me in so many things, right? Like piano when I was 6 years old. I took voice lessons for like 2 seasons. So I guess, I don't know, like 5 months. Like I did a fall recital and a spring recital. And I remember the fall recital, I was like hamming it up. It was a great time. And then the winter or spring recital, I got stage fright. And then I quit. So I was like, I can't do this. But I had like some kind of a little morsel of like a foundation. Like, oh, diaphragm. Like, I knew some things. But then 2017 is when I started taking it more seriously as an adult and like going to private vocal coaching. And I did a Stella Adler summer intensive before I booked my first musical.
Your voice is so rich. I was gonna make this comment before you brought up the vocal coaching and singing. You have this like higher resonance sometimes, but you also have this like deep down to the belly sewers of like a low voice. So I, I
Wow,
feel
look at it.
I feel like your vocal range has to be crazy, is it?
Yeah, very perceptive, Joe. Wow.
I'm giving you permission to toot your own horn.
I
So yeah,
mean, yeah, yes, I would like to think it's pretty dynamic, the range.
are you like belting B's and singing like the other B below, middle C?
When I cover two bit in the show, I sing A in one of the
Uh-huh.
songs. So yeah.
Got it. Okay, very cool. All right, well, let's jump into Outsiders a bit. So, yeah, walk us through the process of, I'm sure there's like many rounds probably for you to book the show. What was the audition process like for you to, finally sign, sealed, and deliver that first Broadway contract?
So yeah, it was back in 2022. It was for the first workshop with Danya Tamor and the Coopermans. So they've been developing the show for a few years now, like a handful of years. And the pandemic kind of halted the production that was supposed to go to Goodman Theater. So I auditioned in 2022 for the May-June workshop, and it was the most like unique audition I've ever had. So we make it to the final callbacks, and it's an interview portion first. I'm getting ready to like sing my song that I prepared and read the sides for Dally. They had all the ensemble members who could be greasers read for Dally. And I'm nervous. It's like the whole table. It looks like the Last Supper. Everyone's there. The producers, the choreographer, the book writer. Everybody, the whole creative team. And the casting director pulls up a chair and is like, "Hey, Jordan, sit down, okay?" And Danya has like my resume, and she's like, "So Jordan, tell me about a chorus line in China. How was that?" And I'm like, "Wait, we're having a conversation?" And in my mind, I was like, "Okay, they're old friends. Go." And I just start. I like it totally disarmed me. I was like, "Yeah, it was great," and I just started talking to them.
Yeah.
So that casting process, they really were looking for unique individuals who I guess at one point may have felt like an outsider. I don't know what the formula was, but I got to
Mm.
share like my life story with them. And then we got into the work. And it's so brilliant because if you're gonna find people who you hope to carry through all the way to the Broadway, like 2 years, you're gonna want to trust and know these people and see who they are. So yeah, that it was like I remember leaving and being like, did I book that? And, like started like crying as I was walking home. And yeah, and so I got to do the workshop in May to June, and then we did La Jolla, the out of town tryout, and now Broadway.
Yeah. Was this your first track where you're doing a swing track, or
No,
have you?
actually,
Go
I've
ahead.
swung before. Yeah, yeah. The first
Okay.
musical I did in the Heights, I was an on-stage swing. So I had like to cover 5 tracks, but I also had my own track on stage that wouldn't really mess up anyone if I was to be taken out. So we were able
Yeah.
to be like there every night doing our thing. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And okay, I saw a chorus line on your resume, but I didn't know it was
Oh
in
yeah.
China. Tell,
Yeah, yeah. It was it was a China
wait,
premiere. It was like, oh,
do tell. Do tell.
yeah, it was like the last leg of a tour. Like they had there was an additional casting for it because I remember they went to Japan first and some of those people stayed on, and so they were finding. We just did 2 weeks in China and Shanghai, and it was the China premiere. So, and it was with Bjork Lee, so someone, an original cast member who, yeah, exactly.
We love
It was
Bjork.
a master class into just like the material. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I got to cover Larry and Richie, and then I was one of the cut dancers, Butch. So we were in the opening. We're doing
Did
it
you did you tour or were you in a certain city the whole time?
just in Shanghai, just that one
Shanghai,
stop.
Shanghai, Shanghai.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And
Got it.
so yeah, it was a quick turnaround. I mean, we learned the show in like 10 days. We were just there for 2 weeks. So it
Yeah.
was a good experience. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Let's go. Sorry, we'll hop back to Outsiders.
Yeah,
When
no worries.
you're saying your audition story and said that on their resume they were talking about a chorus line in China, I had to ask. Okay, so you we left off with you walk out of the room and you're like, I think I booked this.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the next step? Did you book it, or it was like, okay, we need you to come in for 10 more callbacks?
So actually they cast people for there was like a tier one workshop reading for like for what, a week, like 4 days. And so I didn't hear back from that. I wasn't part of that. So it was like from April, it was like, you know, 4 days in April. And I was like, and I asked my agents, I'm like, oh, is this, has there been any news? They're like, yeah, I think you're released from this. And I was like, oh man, okay. I had a
Yeah.
feeling. Then come like May, like early May, I get an email saying they would like me to join them for the tier three workshop. And I'm just like, oh shit, here we go. And so yeah, it was that's how it went. I didn't have to go back in. Uh they were looking for additional, members of the company, and I was one of them. So it was three of us like that got to join as like extra people.
Okay, amazing. All right, well, let's fast forward to the show opens on Broadway. When is it your first time that your stage manager is like, "Hey, Jordan, you're on. You're going on." How does that happen?
Well, the first time was so I did an offstage singing. We have booth singers in the show,
Uh-huh.
like four of them, like offstage that as swings we cover as well. They're there to support the vocals on stage because it's so physical. So the first time I went on was for that track, a booth singer, but the first time I was physically on stage was April 16th in one of the ensemble tracks I cover, Steve Randall. And yeah, I get a text and they're like, Rennie is out, you're needed on, and I hadn't had to put in for this track, but I felt prepared and I was like, okay, here we go. Let's soak it up. It was just like 5 days after they opened. So
Yeah.
it was
Oh,
it feels like
that's
a
really
blur.
cool. Five
Yeah,
5 days after opening that's soon. Some swings are
yes.
waiting months.
Yeah. And then some go on in previews. So it's like it varies. It's crazy. You just gotta be like
Yeah,
ready for anything.
sure. Okay, so let's talk about what everyone wants to know is the experience of your Tony party with the cast after you found out you won. My question that I first love to ask is how late were you out until the night of the
Oh
Tonys?
gosh. I think I got home around like 5 or 6 a.m.
There you go. Did you go
Yeah.
to did you go to a diner at like 4 a.m.? Were you at a diner to
No, we
celebrate that?
went we okay, so after the Tony party that we had at Viva Toscana or something Mexicana, something near the Lincoln Center, we we went to the what's the after party? I'm blanking right now. What's the after party that happens at that really bougie hotel that everyone goes
Is it
to?
is it also by the Lincoln Center?
No, it's
Because there's a
Midtown East.
rooftop hotel right by the Lincoln Center that people go to a lot. Anyways,
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I'm not the person to
the
help you on that.
yeah. It's like a famous name, and it's the Carlton.
There we
No, the
go.
Carlisle. The Carlisle. Yeah,
Okay.
there we go. We went there first, and we were just like, oh, okay, what's the vibe? And we are just like feeling it out. We were there for like a quick minute, and then we went to Angie's place, Atelier, like down by like the Bowery, to like have our own kind of like after party. And we were just
Hmm.
hanging out there, and there was food, and we were just, gallivanting, debauchery, all that.
Right.
um, yeah, it was when we found out about Best Musical. First, we found out about Best Director. I mean, and I captured that moment.
Oh
They
yeah, you
called
did.
yeah. They called Danya's name, and we flipped we were, because we were at the theater. We hadn't performed yet. So we were in costumes getting ready to be bused to Lincoln Center, and then we were gonna get bused back to the Jacobs. So we found out Danya won, and we were all, it was like pandemonium. Like it was so thrilling, and we were just so happy and like proud of her. And it, in our minds, we were like, wait, we could have a chance to win Best Musical. I mean, like if she won, like, wait, who's to say we can't, And we
Right.
had won sound design and lighting before that. So we were just, it was so electric, and we were all just like screaming at the top of our lungs. And then we watch her acceptance speech, and we're just like so in awe of like, wow, especially like, 2 years of this process for some of us. And we're just like, wow, to see her get her flowers. It was like, yes,
Right.
well deserved. And then we performed, and then we got bused back to Jacobs, and we were like getting ready in our like outfits, and that's when they announced Best Musical. And it was before, it was the two Elphabas, right? Like Cynthia Erivo and Idina Menzel, and they were like announcing, we're getting ready to announce it. And before they said The Outsiders, it was so silent. It was like as if a vacuum was in the room. It was like Outsiders, and we erupted. And yeah, we just took that energy into the rest of the night. And it was, I'll
Were
never forget
you?
that.
Because I know that did you, for the performance part? They typically, you get ready at your theater. They bus you to the venue, and then you perform, and then they bus you back. Where did you find out that you had won? Were you at your
We were
theater, or
at
were
the theater,
you?
yeah. For Best Musical, we were in the basement of our theater.
Okay.
And when we found out about Best Director, we were like in our dressing rooms, and we all like stormed down to like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 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 Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think a good majority of everyone knows about what it's like to perform on the Tonys, but some people still don't. And I've had this conversation with plenty of people that have been able to be fortunate enough to perform in the Tonys. But yeah, run us by that. Just
Ooh,
like a summary
yeah.
of the frantic chaos of you getting ready, bus, jump off the bus, into the side door, up the. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the Tonys. I mean, it's a well-oiled machine. Okay, so the first time I performed at the Tonys was in 2017 for the opening number at like Radio City. And I was terrified because that was my first like live performance. And Radio City is massive, right? So the stage is huge. It's the first televised thing I'm doing. And I was like really young. So I was just like, oh, here I go. But
Were you
now we're
doing
at,
one of like their production numbers to like start off the awards? Like
yeah,
what
the
were you doing?
opening number with the host.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
And so then now I'm well acquainted with the show, and we're in a much more intimate space in Lincoln Center. The stage is much smaller. There's not that many seats. It felt very appropriate for like our show. Like we're here to share. We're just here to share this with you. But we get in there, and it's like it just runs so well. It's like nobody is messing around. Like it's so organized, and you have people calling us, beckoning us. Okay, over this way. Da da da. Here we go, funneling through, get the traffic flow. We're seeing all these other celebrities and artists, and we're just like, hey, hi, wow, we're here. Casual, you just go. The series of like camera blocking, the tech rehearsals that you have before your camera blocking, right? So you're finding out where the camera is going to be, and we're moving through the space on the stage. Choreographers and director is giving us notes, what we need to do, what we need to like finagle. And then on the day we performed it twice. So we did it earlier in the day. They tape it as like a fail safe in full
Mm,
costume, everything. That's like early on, just in case something goes awry. And then when we got there, we were closing out the Tonys. So Angie's presenting us, and we go out, and it's just like you have to take the moment to just like capture it, because it's gone in a blink. And you really just have to be like present. And so I remember being like, just breathe it in, we're here. Like there's nothing to prove, only to share. Like just do your thing. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's a magical night. But it's also just like it's exhilarating. And so it's like how do you funnel that energy in, you know?
Hmm. Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for giving us a little inside scoop on that. One thing I like to ask our guests that are swings is the staying ready process, not just for like going on the stage at any beck and call, but like also in a mental, like spiritual sense. I know that you all are kind of unsung heroes in a sense, and then all of a sudden you have to be superheroes on a given day, and then the next day or maybe a few days later, it's kind of back to the monotony, if you will, of like chilling in the dressing room. And how do you stay mentally, spiritually, physically sharp when you're doing such a selfless job as as a swing? How is that for you?
Hmm. I think yeah, it can feel very isolating at first because you're so especially during the tech process and rehearsals because you're kind of like on the periphery of the room. Like you're there, you're sitting down, you're taking your notes. When they're teaching the choreo, you can get up and you're doing your thing, but you feel like, oh, I don't want to get in anyone's way. Like, like priority is the on-stage cast. But it's also just like a mindset shift of I think our cast is so like it's such a collective that I didn't really feel the hierarchy of like or like the inferiority complex of being a swing like oh I'm not good enough. It's like no, like we need you, you are our reinforcements, we trust you, like you're here for a reason. um so I think knowing that and honoring that and knowing that your time will come, like when you will save the show or when your skills will you know show up for you. uh that kind of carries me through the stress of like will I be ready, like it's like no, you just know you will. And so I think when you're chilling it's also just like I think they're that's like one of the pros of being like a swing. It's like you're resting, your body is like you're able to like you know chill out because an 8 show week is no joke. So like it's a gift that you can chill in the dressing room and maybe do other work. Like I try to utilize my free time when I'm there. I'm like reading or maybe I'm working on something else or getting other shit done. Oh, sorry. Other stuff done is I was like I cursed earlier, I don't know what the
No, no,
policy
you're
is.
okay. No one's gonna
um
call in the podcast police on us.
all right. So yeah, I don't know, I it's 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 like knowing your time will come, right? So just like just just be prepared, know your stuff, and you'll be able to shine. Like you will get the stage time. Like you don't be impatient about it. Like it's like that kind of like made me okay, relax.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything, again, nothing to prove. Like you're here, you're in the cast.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, it's one thing to cast someone in the ensemble in one track and say, I trust you to do this one track. It's another thing to sit behind the casting table and say, which person do we trust to be able to do three, four, five
Mm,
tracks and feel confident that they'll be able to maneuver the show so that, A, they don't create any hiccups that gets in the way, and two, that everyone's able to stay safe, including themselves, to put on the production. So kudos to you. I'm always a huge swing fan. I wanted to ask about this credit you have about Marvel's Hawkeye. Is this the TV show? Was there a movie? I can't remember. It was a TV show,
yeah,
right?
it was a TV show, yeah, on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I was in 2 episodes. We were musical performers. Like basic, it was like the Avengers. They made a musical about the Avengers, and we were the actors in that
What?
musical. Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
out of here.
Whole song Mark Shaman wrote, and like Josh Burgos choreographed it. It was like, and there were, my colleagues were all like Broadway performers and amazing
Was it
dancers,
like
and it was
was it like a spoof? Like
no, it was a part of the show. Like he goes in the first episode, he goes to a Broadway play and he watches it and he's just like, oh, this is terrible. but they made a whole song, and I think at like the 6th episode is when they showed the full length performance. So you get like a glimpse of it in the first episode, and then you get
Yeah.
the full. But yeah, it was the first audition, first gig I had post pandemic. I mean, like we were still in it. It was 2021. But, like that was the job that like allowed me to like move back to New York because I had gone back to Florida for like 14 months. And so it was in
Yeah.
Atlanta. We filmed it. It was a great time. Yeah, and I was low key. I was
Yeah. Thor's evil brother,
exactly.
the
Exactly.
master of deception, right? The master of
Yes.
deception.
Yes. So I had my moment. I had my moment. It was fun. It was a great time. Yeah, that credit
Yeah.
is. I mean, to this day, we get the residuals still. So I'm like, this is amazing. TV and film. Thank you. Yes, nourished me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good for you, my friend. Good for you. Okay, last question. I'll sneak in one little like fitness thing. If you work out, what's like your go-to? What do you like to do? Do you like to run or lift or take a class or yoga? Like what's your exercise of choice?
Yeah. Okay. I try to go to the gym like 3 times a week. So I do like a push pull leg
Look at
situation.
you with your
And
split push pull leg. Look at you. Let's go.
yeah, shout out to Jason Schmidt in our cast who plays Soda Pop. He like helped me like come up with this like routine.
Yeah, yeah.
But besides that, I do like taking dance classes. I just took like a month ago. I did a 6 week like dance intensive with the Verdon Fosse Legacy. They offered me a scholarship because I was taking a dance class at through the Hinton Battle Day of Dance that Black Broadway Men was organizing. And
Okay.
Nicole Fosse approached me and she was like, I would love you to train with us. And I was like, absolutely. Like we can learn some rep. They teach like Jack Cole, ballet, jazz, like flamenco, in classical Indian. It was it was a great time. So it's between and I'm like I do cardio, I run before in the gym. But yeah, it's pretty much like lifting and dance.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. I love the versatility. It's
Yeah.
needed as a performer to stay well-rounded, durable. So thank you
Yeah.
for leading the industry from the front and showing us like the importance of it. Jordan Chin, thank you so much for being on Built for the Stage podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And I definitely can't wait to start your program. I'm getting the emails. I'm like, okay, I gotta, let's do this.
Yes. Okay. Well, more to come. We'll chat on the app. But yeah, until then, goodbye, friend. All right, everyone. Jordan Chin, The Outsiders. Make sure if you haven't seen the show, go ahead and run to New York City. If you're not in the city, see Jordan and the rest of the cast. Great episode. Really cool insight. Just like, hey, I'm going to go to college and major in something else. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to start dancing. And then I'm going to perform in the Tonys in 2017 and then do it again in 2024. And I'm going to be in this Hawkeye TV show. I'm just, going to be in China. Why not? Amazing. Like, kudos to Jordan. So cool. Anyways, Joe Roscoe here. Actors are athletes. Train like one. BuiltForTheStage.com. Later.